Good evening and welcome back to the Rory Talks Football channel, your daily Arsenal news, updates, debates and my opinions. I hope you're all very well. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, smash a like on the video if you are new, and we will get into tonight's stream. Monday. It's a Monday, but it is a good Monday. I knew that was going to happen. It's a good Monday. It is a good Monday because Arsenal are top of the league. Loads of you are here. Pekka was here ages ago. Devin came in. I'm an hour early and I'm not even first. Andreas, hyper protagonist, Verdi, VV Vlad, Sportcat, Magnus, Saka, Philip, Tentego, Emilio, Tom McFadden, Leo Nesbitt, Smithy, Carter. It is good to see you all. I hope you're all doing well. It's a long time since we've started a stream top of the league, but there we are. Game tonight, I've put a poll in the chat on YouTube. Chelsea versus Newcastle. What do you think is going to be the result? You can answer the poll on the YouTube chat. I'm so worried for Porto. Worry not. Worry not, my friend. This year, we are built different. Ethan, good to see you. I had a good weekend. Thank you very much. Went to the Arsenal game. Enjoyed it. Did the watch along yesterday. That was decent, apart from Spurs absolutely spanking Villa. And then, we got the result we wanted. I know I said I wanted a Liverpool win. Rather controversially said I wanted a Liverpool win because I felt that City were the bigger threat for the rest of the title race. I'll tell you what, by the end of the game yesterday, I did not want Liverpool to win. I was really impressed with Liverpool yesterday. I was surprised by Liverpool yesterday. And when they could have had that penalty in the final minute, I didn't want them to have it. So it was one of those where it was like, when you're actually forced to make a decision, when you're like, oh, I can't decide between this and this. And someone's like, okay, I'm going to take that one. And then you're like, oh, no, wait, actually, I do want that one. It was like that. And I thought it should have been a penalty. But there we go. Bobby Boy, Noah, good to see you. Mustafa, Yoel, good to see you as well. Drax, John, Louis, it is good to see you all. Hello, Rory. I've just watched you and those Spurs clowns on the terrace. They're a joke. I mean, listen, they're Spurs fans, right? Well, there's only so much you can do for a Spurs fan. But the one thing that I found interesting, and it's not just Spurs fans, but I'm seeing this across the board. It's like a combination of Arsenal fans aren't allowed to say that we're good. We're not allowed to say that we deserve to be top of the league. But if we don't go and win the league now from where we are, we'll have bottled it. And I'm unsure how those things can all be true at the same time. Either we're not the favourites to win the league, and Arsenal fans shouldn't be hyping up our own team, in which case we couldn't possibly be bottling it because we're not expected to win the league, or we are favourites to win the league, and in which case Arsenal fans should be more than capable of praising our team. It's a weird one. But there we go. Heard something about Kimmich as Partey's replacement. Look, I've always been a massive fan of Joshua Kimmich, like a huge fan of Joshua Kimmich. I know he's been struggling under Tuchel, both him and, to be fair, what's his name? The other German in the midfield, Goretzka, have both been struggling under Tuchel. But yeah, I mean, look, I would take him. Have you ever done the Emirates? I have done the stadium tour. Yeah, it's not too bad. If we say we're not favourites, yeah, exactly. There is no winning. We can't say we're not favourites because if we say we're not favourites, they go, "Oh, you're just trying to take the pressure off yourselves." If we say we are favourites, these arrogant Arsenal fans need to be humbled. There's no winning. There's no winning. And like I was trying to say, I think Man City aren't playing particularly well at the moment. Oh, arrogant. You'll get humbled. There's no winning. There is no winning. We need Jorginho and Kivior playing tomorrow. Stick to what is working and play Kai through the middle. I agree. Fabrizio said Hato is signing a new deal this week. You reckon we'll still try and get him in the summer? Yeah, that's fairly normal, right? That just means that from Ajax's side, they're protected. From Ajax's side, they're not left in a position where Hato suddenly starts trying to run that contract down, and they'll be able to ask for more money for him. Which is fine. I think we'll go out there and pay it anyway. No Arsenal fans celebrated going top yesterday. It's just rival fans making the agenda that we're over-celebrating again. Exactly. No Arsenal fan. Like, we celebrated going top in the same way that any any fan base ever does. Like that's completely normal. But I'm hearing people go, oh, yeah, Arsenal fans celebrating yesterday like they'd won the league. And I'm looking through my comments, mostly from Arsenal fans saying, I still don't think we're favourites to win the league because we have to go to the Etihad. So there really is no winning. This Martinelli injury really shows our need for another pacey and direct forward/winger. When he doesn't play, we lack outright pace to threaten behind. Yeah, I agree with that, actually. I agree with that. And we'll get into Martinelli's injury in a minute. I'd play Jesus on the wing, Champions League pedigree. Yeah, I hear it. I do hear the shouts for Jesus with the Champions League pedigree. I think Hato would be class. Left-footed, he's like Timber, he's fast too. Yeah, look, he's still very young, of course, but what he's shown at his age already is incredibly impressive. It really is. But look, we'll get into the press conference that Mikel Arteta has given. It was actually him and Martin Odegaard both in the press conference today. The latest team news, not many updates. We still have 24 hours and we're still trying to have everybody fit and available. He was asked specifically about Tomiyasu. He said he did the first part, Gabby didn't, but that's what we're hoping for. So Tomiyasu was in full training today. There were pictures of him alongside Timber, who was also in full training. So Tomiyasu is back. Whether or not it's too soon for him to be in the squad against Porto, I think it probably is. I don't think we'll see Tomiyasu or Timber in the squad until the Man City game. And then on Gabriel Martinelli, I don't think we're going to see him. He was asked about Liverpool and City and the title race. He said, it's great to be top, that's for sure. It was an amazing game of football with two magnificent teams, with so many alternatives. I think it's an amazing situation that we're even involved, looking at the level that those two teams have. And we're still there and we're at the top. So the ambition rises. We want to continue to be there and we have to go game by game. The squad and how they galvanized around Ramsdale, and they did, to be fair. He said the unity around the players is amazing because it's organic, it's natural. They really feel for each other, and when they have opportunities to do something to make somebody look better or get them out of trouble, they are ready to do it. And that is a big thing that I've noticed. And do you know what? The fans got behind Ramsdale as well, which earlier this season, there were issues at the Emirates, I felt, where there was lots of mumbling and grumbling. There was lots of, when someone made a mistake, even if it wasn't a bad mistake, it was just a misplaced pass or something, there would be that kind of audible around the ground. Whereas I didn't really feel like that happened at the weekend, which is really good. Have you seen that Ederson is a doubt for the game at the Etihad? Yeah, Ederson's expected to be out for 3 to 4 weeks, so it's going to be close. It's basically 3 weeks until our game against them, so it will be close for him. But to be honest, I rate Ortega as a kid. If anything, I feel like in some ways City are better with Ortega than Ederson. Because, of course, Ederson has the incredible distribution, but he's also got an absolutely reckless bozo moment in him that I don't think Ortega has. And you saw it yesterday. You saw it even last season at the Emirates, right? I'm pretty sure we got a penalty because Ederson came out and clattered into Nketiah. So, yeah, I don't know. In a way, I'd almost rather we come up against an Ederson that's been injured. He's a little bit rusty because he's not played for 3 weeks. I wouldn't mind that too much, to be honest. He was asked about what we have to do differently against Porto compared to the first leg. He said we're going to have to tweak a few things to generate much more than what we did against them. It's the level of the Champions League. You're facing top teams. The fact that there are 2 games as well plays on your mind, and we're going to have to be better tomorrow. I think it's much easier tomorrow. I think on this, in terms of the mentality that you go in with, I think this is more like a Premier League game. And I think he's right. Because of the 2 legs, I 100% think there was a feeling when we went away of, let's not lose. And we do not go into a single Premier League game with the mentality of let's not lose. Because every Premier League game in the title race, we have to win. And I think because the mentality going into tomorrow will be we have to win, I think we'll play a lot better. We'll be more aggressive. We'll take more risks. And ultimately, I think that will be better for us. I thought we were way too passive and way too cautious in the first leg. And that suited Porto. So I think it does suit us going into the game knowing that we have to win it. He was asked about the potential of a first quarter final since 2010. He said that's the opportunity that we have tomorrow in front of our people in our stadium for 96 minutes. Bring your energy, bring your noise, and let's do it together. And I will be there, and I will be bringing the energy, and I will be bringing the noise. And I can't wait. I'm absolutely buzzing for it. I can't lie. I think a shaken-up City team, so Ortega in goals and Pep having doubts over a settled back line plays into our hands. We just have to show. Yeah, I agree. Look, I'm feeling relatively confident going to the Etihad, which is dangerous, but genuinely is how I feel. He was asked what he's learnt from that first leg. He said every week, every opponent, they have their strengths and weaknesses. Pardon me. And the way that they approach games, we know them a bit better. We've played these kind of games many times in the Premier League. We played one 2 days ago. We'll just focus on being ourselves and do more of the things that we can control better than we did a few weeks ago. And that's fair. Like, he's not going to give anything away. This is the thing that, like, with these sorts of questions, Mikel Arteta's not going to sit there and go, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start Havertz in the midfield instead of Jorginho, and I'm going to play Jesus through the middle, and I think that'll allow us to do X, Y, and Z. Like, there's only so much you can say, right? Had a horrible day at work today. A Rory life was just what the doctor had ordered. Well, I'm sorry that you had a bad day at work, but forget about it now. Forget about it now. Enjoy the stream. Enjoy the Chelsea game. Tomorrow's a new day. Love how Arteta always says, our people. Yeah, he loves it. He's one of us. He's one of us. I mean, that was why it was so laughable when Ferdinand came out and said he'd jump ship to Manchester United if he was offered. Like, he is one of us. Thoughts on what to watch during the break? Oh, interesting. Put some comments in. If you're watching a good show at the moment, put some comments in for Young Tar. I'll tell you some of the things I've been watching recently. I really like Apple TV. I don't know how many of you have Apple TV, but one thing with Apple TV that I've found is they basically don't release anything that isn't very good. Like, everything I've watched on Apple TV has been really good. So we're watching something called Constellation at the moment. Also, the Gentleman series has just come out on Netflix. Watched the first episode of that last night. That seems like it's banging. What else is there? I don't know. To be honest, movies recently. Yeah, I went and watched Dune 2 at the cinema. Movies recently have been pretty dead. Like, we try and go to the cinema once a week. And we were looking, like, last Friday, we were looking for a new film to go and watch because we saw Dune 2 the week before. There is nothing on at the cinema that looks good. It's not good. It's not good. The Gentleman is class. Yeah, episode one was banging. I'm convinced Ferdinand says what he says about Arsenal just to re-raise his status since he's retired. Yeah, of course it is. It's just. But that's the problem, right? Is that Rio Ferdinand is resorting to the same clickbait bullshit that people like me are meant to do, you know? And even I wouldn't go. Can you imagine me saying, like, I don't know, when Solskjaer was in charge of Man United? Can you imagine if I'd come out and said, oh yeah, if Arsenal offered Solskjaer a contract, he'd take it straight away? You'd go, you silly, stupid, TikToky arsehole. And I'd say, yeah, clickbait. So for Rio Ferdinand to be doing it, it is embarrassing. Did you watch Godzilla -1 that came out a few months ago? It was superb. I didn't. I watched, on the flight to Mexico, I watched Godzilla versus Kong, I think. But the thing is, I've watched all of the Kong movies, but not the Godzilla ones. So when I watched that one, I didn't really know what I was meant to think of Godzilla. But just bagged myself for a ticket tomorrow. Let's go. Unbelievable. Absolute scenes. You'll have to see it. Predicted lineup versus Porto. I'll do my predicted lineup in a little bit. We'll get yours as well. Yada yada yada. He was asked about being top of the Premier League and in the last 8 of the Champions League. He said we have to make it happen tomorrow, but we have to be very good to achieve that. I'm sure he was asked. Oh yes, so he was asked about being able to call on Jesus, Zinchenko, and experienced players. He said, "Well, unfortunately, we haven't had them for long periods this season. The same for someone like Thomas Partey, but we have others that will learn from experiences of playing those games, and the boys will be ready tomorrow." And it is a point, right? Whether it's Zinchenko, Jesus, you know, they do have the experience in these games that make you think maybe they should be the ones starting. And he was asked if they're fit enough to start the game tomorrow. He said everybody that is available has to be available enough to play, because you might have to play after 5 minutes or from the start, and the boys are in a good place. Yada, yada, yada. He was asked if Martinelli can play tomorrow. Percentage you want. There are options. Sorry to disappoint you. Now, I'm pretty sure he said 1%. He said it's a 1% chance that Martinelli plays tomorrow. So Martinelli has a big cut on his foot, and that simply takes time to heal. And the problem is, like, you can try and play through it, but then it will keep opening up and it will become a longer term problem. So There was another thing that came out this evening from The Athletic that said they're expecting Martinelli to be out for 2 to 3 weeks. So he should be back for the City game, but I don't think he'll play tomorrow. And that's a bit of a problem. Like, Martinelli is a big weapon for us, especially in a game like tomorrow. So it's a shame to not have him in, and we've got to figure out what we do with that. For me, so my team would be Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel. I'd go Zinchenko, which is interesting, and I know a lot of people wouldn't go Zinchenko, but I would. Rice, Jorginho, Ødegaard, Saka off the right, Jesus off the left, and Havertz through the middle. I think by putting Jesus off the left, you've got his experience. Oh, nearly spat all over myself then. You've got his experience. I think he's relatively fresh. I am slightly concerned that he really isn't over that knee injury. But if he's in the squad, then he should be playing. And if it doesn't work out, then you can make the subs. But I think him off the left, Havertz, for me, has to stay through the middle. Havertz has to stay at centre forward for me. And then Jorginho in the midfield, I think, is better for the control. So, that's the team that I would go for. Zini over Kivior. Yeah, because I just think Porto's mentality tomorrow is going to be absolutely defend the 1-0 lead. Like, they will turn up and all they will want to do is park the bus and get a 0-0 draw. The dream result for Porto tomorrow is a 0-0 draw. And so for me, they're going to be so many men behind the ball. I would go with Zinchenko. And again, that experience. Zinchenko has the experience that Kivior doesn't. And so for me, that would be my team. Now, look, if Kivior starts, I have no issues. Absolutely no issues. If Trossard starts off the left instead of Jesus, no issues. If we play with Trossard off the left, Jesus through the middle, and Havertz in the midfield instead of Jorginho, no issues. Like, we're at a point now where the squad for me is good enough that there are multiple players that can play, and I don't really mind too much who moves around in what position. But that's the team that I would personally pick if it was me. Good squad, but I think Kivior should start. Yeah, look, I totally appreciate people that would say that Kivior should start. But for me, I just think the experience Zinchenko's got, and the fact that I think we really we struggled to break Porto down when we played away, and Zinchenko is the sort of player that can break those lines a lot better than Kivior. Like, I rate Kivior, massively impressed with the way that he's developed and the way he's come on. I just think this specific game is a better game for Zinchenko. And if it's not, by the way, and this is a question you've got to ask yourselves, if this isn't a game for Zinchenko to play, with his experience, when we brought Zinchenko and Jesus in, a big thing about bringing them in was that experience. If this isn't a game for Zinchenko to play, well, then we have to sell him in the summer. Because if this isn't a game for him to play, there is no game for him to play. Plettenberg links from Germany that we're interested in Frankfurt defender William Pacho. Interesting. I'll have to do some research on him because other than the fact that he's got a decent future stars card on FIFA, I don't actually know too much about him. Zinchenko and Jorginho is a bit redundant, I feel. For me, it's not so redundant. I understand what you're saying when you say that. For me, Jorginho sits in the 6. It will be more like when we played against Sheffield United, and Jorginho actually was the guy that was sitting in deep because it allows Rice to go forwards. I want Rice to be able to attack tomorrow. I think he's in great goal-scoring form. So you play Jorginho, he sits in. Zinchenko can find Declan Rice in those more advanced positions. That's who I'd go for. Who's your ideal last 8 opponent, granted we turn up tomorrow? We were talking about that. I think we were talking about this on the TIFO stream yesterday, but it's going to be such a strong final 8. Let's assume that we make it, right? So you've already got Bayern, PSG, Real Madrid, and Man City. Assume Arsenal go through. Assume Inter go through. Barcelona or Napoli, and then PSV or Dortmund. I'm like, you have to want to play either Barcelona or Napoli or PSV or Dortmund. Like, the winner of PSV and Dortmund and the winner of Barca and Napoli, they will be the 2 weaker teams going into it. Because even if Atletico Madrid get past Inter Milan, which I don't think they will, Atletico Madrid is still a tough game. Inter Milan's a really hard game. So, and outside of that, I think we beat Barcelona. I think we beat Napoli. I think we beat PSV or Dortmund. To be fair, I think we beat PSG or Bayern Munich, but I'd rather not have to do it. So yeah, for me, it would be one of those two. But we've got to get there first. We've got to get there first. Jesus or Trossard left wing if Martinelli's out. Yeah, so Martinelli is out, and I would go Jesus. I would go Jesus off the left wing. I'm not a huge fan of Trossard off the left. I'll be honest. I'm not. We saw it. We saw it at the weekend. I'm just not a huge fan. I think he's better through the middle, but I think Havertz is better than Trossard for what we're doing at the moment through the middle. And so it's tough, but yeah, Jesus would be the one. And Jesus has the Champions League pedigree, you know. Would you prefer to win the Champions League or the Premier League? Champions League, 1,000,000%. Champions League, we've never won it. It's absolutely a more prestigious trophy. And if we don't win it this year, people will always hang it over us that we never won the proper Champions League. If we don't win it this year, even if we went and won it next year, they'd go, oh yeah, but you never won the proper one. You never won the proper one that was harder. Because that's what it will become. It'll instantly become, oh, it was way harder to win the Champions League when it was the old format. So yeah, if I could choose one, absolutely choosing the Champions League over the Premier League. But and in some ways, I still think we've got a better chance of winning the Champions League than the Premier League. I still think on our day, we can absolutely beat anyone, but I still have a concern that we can just drop points too easily in the Premier League. We nearly saw it against Brentford, you know? We did nearly see it against Brentford. It took until the final 5 minutes for us to score the winner. So, you know, it's tough. Wembley final too. It's all aligning. Yeah, exactly. Wembley, Wembley's basically like playing at home for us. Ian Wright on Monday Night Football. He's got zero analytical skills and must be crap for neutrals to listen to. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky because I do feel like they're trying to bring in more Arsenal people. I feel like they are trying to bring in more Arsenal people, but the actual truth, the genuine truth, is that there aren't that many Arsenal pundits whose analysis is good. Like, I love Ian Wright. Absolutely love Ian Wright. But he's not the best analyst of football. You know, I love seeing him on shows because half the time he's the only one defending Arsenal. But if he's not talking about an Arsenal game, I don't think his analysis is brilliant, to be honest. Do you think Havertz is more of a centre forward than a midfielder? I do, yeah. I do. I think he's a false nine. I think his best position is a false nine. And that's what we're beginning to see from him, which is exciting, to be honest. Clive from AFP should get more airtime. He's a great mind. Yeah, I agree. I like Clive. Henry's pretty good. Oh, Henry's great. Henry is great. Yeah. The Monday Night Football last Monday with Henry on it was really good. We have Ljungberg in Sweden as a pundit. I think he's really good. Yeah, that makes sense. But again, Freddie was our assistant manager briefly, or he was our manager briefly, and he was our assistant manager. Like, he's got a brain for football, for sure. Did you see Watford sack their manager again? I did, yeah. I mean, 11 managers in 4 years, simply not sustainable. But yeah, so look, my starting 11 would be the one that I just said. Zinchenko in for Kivior and Jesus in for Trossard. And I think we're going to win. My prediction is a 3-0 win. You know, historically, you know, even when Porto were arguably better than they are now in terms of their standing within Portugal, we've smashed up Porto. In terms of we've gone away to Porto, struggled, and then smashed them up at home. Now, obviously, not this group of players that did that, but we have done it before. Porto are nowhere near as good away from home as they are at home. The referee for tomorrow is a French guy that looks a bit like Leandro Trossard. From what I can see, he's a good referee to have. He's the sort of referee that does try and let the game flow, which is exactly what we need. So, yeah, all things considered, I think we'll win. And look, that's not. That doesn't mean I'm not nervous for the game. I'm bloody nervous for the game, but almost trying to be unbiased and taking the emotion out of it. You know, if this was City or Liverpool, I would be saying, yeah, they're still going to go through. They're still going to comfortably win at home. And so I'm saying the same for Arsenal. But we'll see. Have you seen that Ederson is a doubt for the game? Yeah, Ederson's out for 3 to 4 weeks, so it'll be close. The ref in Porto was absolutely shocking. Yeah, he was abysmal. But again, you know, like, the atmosphere tomorrow night is going to be unbelievable, and they are going to be all over the ref if he starts messing about, and that should help us. So we've got the home advantage, we've got the better team. We're in we're in unbelievable form in the league, and we just have to carry that form into the game tomorrow. Hopefully we get an early goal. An early goal, settle the nerves. That's what we need. If it starts getting to like 60, 70, 80 minutes and we haven't scored, then you start going, oh, God, this isn't good. I saw a chance, then we had a 76% chance of winning. Do you think this is true? I mean, that's completely based on numbers, right? Sure, we have a 76% chance of winning. I think we've probably got an 85, 90% chance of winning, but you never know. It's football. Apparently there's a 19% chance that we win the league. I don't know what's that. What's that based on? Just numbers? Like, we're top of the league. We've scored the most goals. We've conceded the least goals. We've had the highest XG created. We've conceded the fewest XG. But we're only 19% chance of winning the league. It's I don't know. I don't even know how those algorithms and stuff work. Early goal opens the floodgates, in my opinion. Yeah. If we score early, I think it will be fine. Do you think Tommy will be in the squad? He cannot go and play for Japan. Same with Partey. City Pool wouldn't allow it. I don't think Tomiyasu will be in the squad because it looks like he only rejoined full training today. Unusual for someone that's been out for now nearly 2 months. It would be unusual for them to come back into full training one day and be in the squad the next day. I think there's no point rushing him. We've got Zinchenko, we've got Kivior, we've got Ben White. We don't really need Tomiyasu to play. And I think you're better off not risking it. Give him another, basically 3 weeks extra to recover before we play Man City. That's what I would do anyway. Same with Timber. No way you bring Timber in yet. Porto dark arts and time wasting, only thing concerning me. It's a concern, but I think at home it'll be easier for us. I think it's the sort of thing that they could get away with in Portugal. I don't think they'll get away with it tomorrow. Would you start Timber for the City game if he's fully fit at left back? No, we don't need to take that risk. Not even just the risk on him not being fully fit from his injury, because it's not just about his knee. It's about his muscles, right? You have to, when you've been out for that long, it takes a long, long time to rebuild the muscles. And you'll see a lot of times when players come back from big injuries, they then end up straining a hamstring or a quad or a calf. There's no point throwing him into probably the most high-intensity game that we'll have left this season, starting. And then that's not even to take into consideration the fact that he might not be at the same. He won't be at the same level he was before he got injured. That will take time. And he's not used to playing with the team this season, which is even since the start of this season, it's adapted. He wouldn't start. I don't think he'll start a game until the end of the season. In my honest opinion, I don't think he starts until the end of the season. I think he's a sub for the rest of the season. He then gets another full summer under his belt, and then he comes back almost like a new signing next season. Unless we have a big injury crisis, unless Zinchenko, Kivior, and Tomiyasu will get injured, and then, of course, you would bring him in. Opinions on it going to penalties tomorrow? I hope it doesn't go to penalties. I'll be honest, in fact, actually, it's interesting, right? Because his penalty saving record isn't bad, but Raya is just not, in my head, he's not a penalty goalkeeper just because of his height. Some keepers, you just look at them, they just look like they fill so much of the goal, and Raya is not one of those. So I don't want a penalty shootout at all. The ref is really good, apparently. Was the 22 Champions League final ref. Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's the sort of ref that can deal with high pressure. So I think it'll be fine. Our penalty takers are good, though. They are. That we do have the advantage that we, between Saka, Ødegaard, Havertz, Jesus. I mean, we do have Jorginho. We do have penalty takers, but is it just me who gets so nervous whenever Saka takes a penalty, even though he's good at them? Yeah, it's PTSD. It's because he missed 2. He has been good on penalties, right? And he has scored some high-pressure ones against City, against Liverpool, against Chelsea. But because he had those 2 really high-profile penalty misses, the Euro final and then the game against West Ham, which, ultimately could have cost us the league, it's like a PTSD thing. We have so many good penalty takers, we can beat them. Yeah, but I'd just rather it didn't go to penalties to a large extent is still just luck of the draw. There's no reason for us to allow it to get to penalties. Does it go to extra time or straight to penalties? Extra time. Goes to extra time. Yeah. Petr Cech is a proper penalty shootout keeper. Yeah, but he's one of them that just proper filled the goal. Emi Martinez, I feel like he's a keeper that fills the goal, and it's so much more daunting. And you'll find that not only will they save more penalties, but actually players will miss more penalties because of it, because they're so conscious about having to get it right in the corner. No away goals. No away goals. So if like the away goals rule traditionally would have meant that if Porto, and this is where it's changed in the Champions League, right? Because the old away goals rule, Porto tomorrow night would know that if they scored 1, Arsenal would then need to score 3 to go through. So yeah, it's good. It's good that for us now that there's no away goals rule, having not scored in our away leg. Yeah, we'll look at the Newcastle Chelsea team news is out. That kicks off in an hour. If you haven't already, do vote on what you think is going to be the outcome. The poll is in the YouTube chat. The Newcastle starting 11, Dubravka in goal, Livramento, Shah, Botman, Byrne, Bruno G, Longstaff, Willock, Almiron, Gordon, and Isaac. So no Kieran Trippier for Newcastle. That's the big player that they're missing. Livramento's filling in at right back. Are they missing anyone else? The midfield, they've got Bruno G, Longstaff, Willock, but I think that's just a choice to play Willock over Miley, and then Almiron, Gordon, and Isaac. So not a bad team for them. The Chelsea team, Petrovic in goal, Gusto, Disasi, Chalobah, and Cucurella is back. Interesting. Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, Palmer, Jackson, and Sterling. So look, that's not a great defense for me. Disasi and Chalobah as the centre-back pairing with Cucurella as the left-back. I think Newcastle can get at that. And my opinion is that Newcastle win 2-1. I think Newcastle are going to win 2-1. I think Eddie Howe is able to get that Newcastle team way more revved up for the game than Pochettino can get Chelsea. And I'm going for a 2-1 Newcastle United win, which could spell the end of Pochettino's reign at Chelsea, in my opinion. Would you take Isaac? I would. I'm a big fan of Isaac. The only slight concern I have about him is his injury record. But overall, I would take Isaac for sure. What's your prediction of the Arsenal versus Porto? Mine is that we will win in full time 1-0 and win in extra time 3-1. Interesting. Mine is that we will win 3-0 in normal time. Job done. Thanks for coming. 2 weeks off. We'll see you at City. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. That's the dream. That is the dream. Can't wait for Arteta to put up Porto's press conference slander to get the boys up for it. Yeah, I don't think it will take much convincing for the Arsenal players to be up for it. But the way that the Porto manager, players were giving it big ones, it's like you wait till you've been to the Emirates, fellas. You just wait. How can Chelsea spend £1 billion and still have such a weak spine of their team? It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. They spent £1 billion. £1 billion. And like you said, the spine of their team is pathetic. I actually hate the fact we have 2 weeks of no Arsenal. I know. And all we can really do, the international matches mean absolutely nothing. So all we're going to be doing is watching or not watching the international games and just praying that Arsenal players don't get injured. Like, that's all I'm going to be doing, is watching games, praying to the Lord that Arsenal players don't get injured. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible timing. And I'll tell you what, I'd love to be playing Man City next weekend. I would love to be playing Man City next weekend. I think now is a good time to hit them. Isaac will score. Go Sweden. Go on the Sweden. Tommy back for the international break. I don't think Tomiyasu's going on the international break. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think he is. Apparently Chelsea want to sell up to 15 players. Well, they have to. Chelsea need to make 100 million in profit by the 30th of June. Now, to make that profit, they have to sell players that they haven't got amortized over the next however many years, which is why they're looking at selling players like Gallagher, who's been their best player, because if they sell him for 40 million, that's 40 million of raw profit. But that still shows you they've just sold, what's his name? Lewis Hall. Basically, that they're definitely going to sell him to Newcastle for 30 million. But if they, for example, if they sold Mudryk for 50 million, they would only break even on him, because 50 million is still amortized over the next however many years. And if you sell the player, that all gets brought to the front. So if they sold Mudryk for 50 million, they'd break even. If they sold him for 40 million, they'd make a £10 million loss on the books for this year. So they can't really sell any of the players that they've bought recently, which is why they're in so much trouble. And it is one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons they sold Havertz last year. It's one of the reasons they sold Jorginho to us. It's one that they have to. They haven't got a choice. It's crazy. Thoughts on Kyle Walker saying the ref did a good job in the Liverpool game? Kyle Walker has absolutely catapulted himself this season from, in my list of players that I cannot stand the most, right? Where top end of the list, you're looking at Bruno Fernandes, Bruno Guimaraes, Neil Maupay. Kyle Walker's absolutely flung himself into the top 3 this year. I think he's an absolute cock. I really do. On and off the pitch. I cannot stand him. Anytime they lose, he throws a tantrum. On the pitch, off the pitch. He's an absolute wet wipe. He really is. And he's come out basically, and he knows that they got away with one. He knows they got away with one. And he's given it larger. Cheated on. Yeah, well, he cheated on his wife, which as an actual person, he's a horrific person. But yeah, coming out and saying. And by the way, Michael Oliver, there's something fishy there. Michael Oliver with Man City, right? He gets paid by the owners of Man City. Own the UAE Football League, and they pay him to go and referee out there. He doesn't send Kovacic off against Arsenal. And after that game, I said, there's a conflict of interest. Michael Oliver should not be allowed to referee another Man City game. And then you get yesterday happen. It's not right. It's not right. Something ain't right. And Kyle Walker knows exactly what he's doing. Exactly what he's doing. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you 5 clues about an ex or current Arsenal player, and you have to guess who that player is in the chat. First person to get it right in the chat gets the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. The big hitters is VV Vlad is here. Ross Lawman's not. We've had some new winners recently though. There's a lot of people fighting for this pride. Carter, you did not miss it. You did not miss it. Pekka, it is not Aaron Ramsey. Can you imagine if I was like, clue number 1, they were born in Wales. Pekka would be absolutely frothing. But no, it's not. It's not. Anyway, clue number 1. This player made their senior debut for Angers. Their senior debut for Angers, also known as Angers, depending on if you can pronounce it properly. Clue number 2, they scored 27 goals in 112 games for Arsenal. They scored 27 goals in 112 games for Arsenal. Clue number 3, they were Arsenal's record transfer at the time. They were Arsenal's record transfer at the time. Clue number 4, they currently play in the Turkish Super League. They currently play in the Turkish Super League. And clue number 5, they won the AFCON last month. They won the AFCON last month. So they made their senior debut for Angers. They scored 27 goals in 112 games for Arsenal. They were Arsenal's record transfer at the time. They currently play in the Turkish League. And they won AFCON last month. And a lot of people have got it now, obviously. But the first person to get it, a lot of people were guessing Bakary Sagna. It was not Sagna. It was, in fact, and I just need to find the winner. It was Pepe, Nico Pepe, and MM has won it. MM has won it with Pepe. Absolute Cat came second. VV Vlad came third. Saka came fourth. And Saleh came fifth. Congratulations, old Nico Pepe. And there you go. Congratulations to MM. Is that your first win, MM, or have you had one before? All I think of when I hear Pepe's name is Don Raul. Our Absolute Cack was first on his screen. That's painful. That is painful, Absolute Cack. But there was, on my screen, there was MM, then there was another message, and then there was yours on my screen. There you go. MM, first win. The first guess I knew it. Congratulations. Congratulations to MM. You have the immense pride and respect of the Rory Talks Football community. Get a new screen. Get good. The mere mention of that name gets me mad. Yeah. God, my internet must be slow. I was second on my screen. I think you were sixth, Carter. Or were you fifth? Can't remember. Anyway, There you go. Guess the Gooner's done. Time for Guess the Non-Gooner. I will give you the full career path of a player who does not and has not played for Arsenal. You have to guess who it is. Get it in the chat. Not David Raya. No. If it was David Raya, we'd have been talking about old Blackburn. We'd have been talking about Blackburn if it was David Raya. Saka, Rice, and Gabriel are likely to play for their countries. Hopefully, Deschamps still doesn't rate Saliba. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully not. The only other thing is that Gabriel Jesus might get called up to Brazil if Martinelli can't go and Richarlison can't go. So that could be a problem as well. But anyway, guess the Non-Gooner. They started their career at Sao Paulo. And he plays for the Arsenal. No, he doesn't play for Arsenal. They went to AC Milan. They went from Sao Paulo to AC Milan. They went to Real Madrid. They went back to AC Milan. They went to Orlando. They went to Sao Paulo on loan. And they went to Orlando again. So it's Sao Paulo, AC Milan, Real Madrid, AC Milan, Orlando, Sao Paulo, Orlando. Not Pato. Not Pato. It is indeed, and I just need to find who got it first. Lots of you were guessing Neymar. But the first person to get it correct was Alex Suter. Alex Suter got it right first with Kaká. Ethan Udall was second. Tom McFadden said Pato. Ethan was second. Vivi Vlad was third. 2 third places for Vivi Vlad today. Saka number 7 was 4th. And Bobby Boy was 5th. But there you go. Our winners today, MM and Alex Suter. Congratulations. Do one more. No, we get one a day. It's like having a nice little treat. You get one a day. If you go overboard, it's too much. Tom McFadden thought he was a genius. But look, you are a genius, Tom. You are a genius. Don't you worry. Just not as genius as Alex Suter and MM. Oi, I was third. You might have been third on your screen, but you weren't third on my screen, unfortunately. Tis life. That's life. There you go. Tiki Taka Toe. Not today. We've got a few minutes left. Get any final questions in before I jump off. During the international break, Arsenal need to go to Dubai again. Yeah, I wish we could. I think there might be a behind closed doors friendly that happens, depending on how many players don't go on international duty. But did you see Neto getting injured again? Yeah, I did. Another hamstring injury. It's brutal, but ultimately, if Wolves are asking for 60 to 80 million for Neto, I'd say no. As much as I love Neto at his best, and if he could play at his best for 80% of the season, he'd be worth 60 to 80 million. His injury record, you can't do it. You can't risk that sort of money on a player that might not be fit for most of the season, which is a shame. It's a massive shame. It really is. What players would you sign in the summer? Victor Gyökeres. Still undecided on the other 8, but Douglas Luiz if we could somehow do it. Hato. And then I'm still torn on the winger. I think I'm leaning towards Nico Williams as my winger choice at the moment. But the first one I'd go out and sign would be Victor Gyökeres. Then I'd focus on the left-sided 8, which would be Douglas Luiz if we could get him out. Well, he's not really a left-sided 8, but as the midfield option, it would be Douglas Luiz. And then Hato as another defender to come in. And then, yeah, a winger that I'm thinking Nico Williams. Reckon we get something at the Etihad? Because if they keep playing how they are, we'll make most of them out. Yeah, I think we can get something at the Etihad. And look, I was trying to explain this. I was on the football terrace just before this, and I was trying to explain that, on paper, Man City have had a very good run of games. In terms of, since they lost to Aston Villa, I think they've played 18, they've won 15 and drawn 3. And on paper, that looks like a very good run of form. But I don't think their performances have been good. They got a 1-0 win against Bournemouth, quite lucky. They got outplayed by Brentford. Everton could have got something off them. They're conceding goals here, there, and everywhere. And when they come up against good teams, that can defend well, they're not really scoring many. Haaland struggles in the big games, struggled against Liverpool, hasn't had a shot against Arsenal over the space of 2 games this season. Like, their results have been good, their performances haven't. And I think that is a big, crucial thing for when we go to the Etihad. Because if we play at our best and they play the way that they've been playing, we at least get a draw out of the game, if not win it. I really do believe that. And even their own fans, I've seen City fans, when they beat Luton 6-2 in the FA Cup, I saw a lot of City fans come out and say, hopefully this is the turning point now. They knew they'd been playing badly and getting away with the results. And they said, hopefully this is the turning point. And I don't think it was the turning point, because the games they've played since then, I don't think they've been that good either. Even against United. All right, they beat United 3-1, but they conceded early. They could have conceded another 2 to Marcus Rashford very easily. They're conceding chances, and if we can defend the way that we have been and limit them to as few chances as we can do, I really do think we can get something out of it. I really do. And I'll be frustrated if we don't. I really will be frustrated if we don't go and get something out of it. Haaland goes so much in the big games. The problem is, and again, someone was just saying this on the Football Terrace, they were saying, Haaland, you have to create for Haaland. It's not him that's the problem. It's the fact that City aren't creating chances for him. Well, first of all, he's got more big chances missed than any other player in the league this season. But secondly, I don't know if that's enough. I don't know if that is good enough for a top level striker to be someone that basically you go, well, if we don't put it on a plate for him, he's not going to score. He's barely going to have a touch if we don't create it for him. Whereas you look around the other top teams, you're seeing players who get really involved in it. Whether it's Havertz at Arsenal, whether it's Nunez at Liverpool, whether it is Højlund at Man United, these players are, they are creating for themselves. They're bringing other players into the game, and Haaland doesn't do that. And we've seen it twice against Arsenal this season. That he struggled. So, being real here, he can only really score. He's a bit of a flat track bully. He'll go and score 5 against Luton, but then he won't have he'll have 1 shot against Liverpool that's straight down Kelleher's throat, and he won't have a shot against Arsenal. Hey Rory, I don't think it's necessarily must win tomorrow, because in my opinion, it's a win-win. Either we win and go through, or we lose and can focus on the league. But I do think we win. I hear what you're saying, but for me, there's no way. If we lose tomorrow, if we draw and go out, or we lose, I'm going to be fuming. Like, there will be no element of me that's like, well, at least we can focus on the league. I want to win the Champions League. I want to win it. There would be no part of me that would, it would be a massive clutching at straws to find a silver lining. If we got, if it was, if we went out to Real Madrid, I'd say, okay, well, we got beaten by Real Madrid, focus on the league. But Porto, not for me. But I understand what you're saying, Brendan. Who do you want to get rid of in the summer? Eddie Nketiah. But it's not really who I want to get rid of, because that makes it sound harsh in a way I don't want it to. These are players that I think we will get rid of, and I think we need to get rid of in order to improve and spend the money that we need to spend. So, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Aaron Ramsdale, Thomas Partey, Cedric, El Neni, Charlie Patino. I think that's about it. Unless I'm forgetting someone. Arsenal need to win, and the mentality needs to change, because Arsenal need to and can be able to balance these. Yeah, exactly. We have to be in a position where we can do both. We have to be in a position where we can, because it's not even Champions League and Premier League. From next season onwards, we should be competing for all 4. Kieran Tierney, I'd sell Kieran Tierney and Nuno Tavares. Anyone who's not currently in the squad, there's no one on loan at the moment other than Sambi Lokonga that I would consider being in the squad next season. Yeah. Look, from next season onwards, there will be from me at least, there will be no, well, at least we can focus on the league. Like, even this year when we went out of the League Cup, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, I was like, look, we've got a balanced Champions League, a Premier League, it's fine. From next season onwards, we should have the depth of squad that we go after every trophy, no matter what. And that there is no, after losing and getting knocked out of something, we're not turning around and going, well, we can focus on this. Because we will have one of, if not the best squad in the Premier League at the start of next season. Factually. This is a random question. Do you think Pepe was a signing made at the wrong time? Yeah, I think he was a signing made at the wrong time for the wrong manager. It was just and he was just given the wages he was given were too high. God knows what went on behind closed doors with that deal. It sounds like a complete mess in terms of who was getting paid, backhanders and stuff. It was a disaster. What happens to Havertz if we sign Gyökeres? We can't act like we wouldn't start Gyökeres every game. Havertz becomes a utility player that can either play as a second striker in some games alongside Gyökeres, that can play as the 8, that can come on for Gyökeres. You know, there are a lot of solutions there. And for a lot of games next season, I still do think he'd end up in the midfield, potentially, depending on if we sign a midfielder. When the coin is spinning in the air, you realize what you really want. Yeah, I think I was trying to explain that earlier, but I was a bit of a moron with the way I said it. But yeah, when the coin's up in the air, in your own head, you know what you want when it lands on your hand. Would you be happy if we bagged Evan Ferguson from Brighton? I see rumours. Nah. Unless it was for less than 50 million, I don't think Evan Ferguson's the one for us right now. I don't think Evan Ferguson raises our level next season. I still think he's way too raw. I think whoever comes in, and for me it's Gyökeres, it needs to be someone that walks into the team. And look, Gyökeres might not hit the ground completely running at that level, but I think he'd be better. Do you think ESR peaked too early, which caused him to burn out? I don't think he burnt out. I think his body just didn't keep up with him. You know, the way that some people grow is just different. And Bukayo Saka has grown into his body unbelievably well, and it's why he so rarely gets injured. Emil Smith-Rowe had an issue with his groin, which is to do with growing. And it's like, you know, it happens to other players as well. I think it's happened to Richarlison. I think that's the issue that Richarlison's been dealing with. He's much older than Smith-Rowe. But yeah, I think he was having to play too much through that injury to the point where it couldn't be managed. And that was a shame. I still think Smith-Rowe has one more chance. I wouldn't get rid of Smith-Rowe. I still think he's got the chance to be a proper squad player for us. I don't think he'll ever be a starting player, by the way. I don't think Smith-Rowe... I don't think he'll ever be guaranteed starting lineup in the way that Saka is. But he can and will be a very useful squad player for us, in my opinion. I really don't think Havertz works with Ødegaard in the midfield, but I think it can do. See, this is because we had games 100% where we struggled with Havertz and Ødegaard in the midfield together. But we had a run of games before Jorginho came into the side. We went on a run of games with Havertz in the midfield and Trossard through the middle where we were smashing teams up. And I feel like because even more recently we've seen Havertz play at centre forward and he's been better there, I feel like people have gone to sort of this, Havertz has to be the centre forward, he can't be the midfielder. But even the end of the Brentford game, at that point, Jorginho had gone off and Havertz had dropped into that midfield role when he scored the winner. So I do think he can still play in that. I think it took us time to figure out how to function Ødegaard and Havertz in the same midfield. But as soon as we started doing it with Ødegaard dropping deeper, I think we figured out a way of making it work. So I do still think he can do it. I feel Havertz in midfield works if Zinchenko starts. Yeah, probably. But even then, it was still working when Kivior was starting. What's Trossard's best role? I like him as a false 9. However, he can play well on the wing. I'm not sure because he's on and off. For me, Trossard is better centrally. I much prefer Trossard central than off the left. Much prefer it. Massively depends on who we're playing. Yeah, it does. And this is the thing, right? There are so many factors that depend on who we're playing. And I think this is why Arteta has built the squad in the way that he has. Arteta has built a squad where there are so many different ways that we can approach a game with the same group of players, playing them in slightly different positions. We can make slight tweaks every game. One big noticeable thing is that in big games, we play Jorginho and Rice, and they play really as a double pivot. And if anything, Rice sits deeper than Jorginho. But then we play the exact same midfield in a game against Sheffield United, and Jorginho's massively the one that sits in basically as a solo 6, and Declan Rice is getting way further forward. It's the same players, but they play completely differently depending on the opposition because they have the ability to play multiple roles. And that's where I think Havertz comes in. That's where the defenders that we've brought in come in, where realistically Zinchenko is the only defender we've got that can only play in one position. That's how we've built the squad, and it's brilliant. It is brilliant. I came late. What do you think of Porto game tomorrow with Martinelli not being there? So I'd start Jesus off the left tomorrow, and I think we're going to win 3-0. That's my feeling. That is my feeling. Anyway, look, that is going to be the end of the stream. Massively appreciate all of you that have joined. As always, you're absolute legends. I'll be back. No, I won't be back tomorrow. I'll be at the game tomorrow. So there will be a video of some sort up on the channel tomorrow. But I'll be going to the Arsenal game tomorrow night. There will be a video after that uploaded to the channel after the game tomorrow night once I've got home and made it. But until then, have a fantastic evening. Enjoy the Chelsea game. Enjoy the Arsenal game. Pray that we get the win. And the next time I'll be live with you guys will be 6:30 on Wednesday. So until then, have a good one. Thank you for coming. Please subscribe, drop a like on the video before you jump off, and I will see you very soon.